The New York Jets are taking a major risk by bringing back an old GM to help them hire their next general manager of the team. And this is going to have a huge impact on what the New York Jets free agency is going to look like. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here. And we're going to jump right into things. As always, if you like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. But, Matt, Adam Schefter revealed some wild news as the New York Jets are retaining the 33rd team to support them on their upcoming general manager and head coaching searches. Former Jets general manager Mike Tannenbaum and Vikings general manager Rick Spellman will lead the project for the NFL technology and media company. The 33rd team will provide its data analysis and experience to start the Jets in search for their new leadership. Obviously, it's very interesting to see stuff like this happen because, well, the New York Jets, they need a bit of a new everything. They need a new GM, a new head coach, a new quarterback, a new team, a new stadium. They need a lot. And, Matt, with what they're doing right now, I mean, bringing in a data analysis firm, I mean, definitely an interesting move by the team, especially when a former GM was a huge part of it. And it does make you think that I'm curious about the bias that he's going to have in his moves as a former Jets GM. Obviously not taking the role again, but doing that.
Yeah, so the 33rd team is a sports media website that they go through data of the NFL, and they post mock drafts and NFL news online. They're an NFL website. That's what you got to know. The important names are Mike Tannenbaum and Rick Spielman. Mike Tannenbaum, of course, the New York Jets GM back when Rex Ryan was the head coach, when the Jets were actually able to put together successful football teams. And Rick Spielman was the ex-Vikings GM. He is known for trading away Stephon Diggs for a random first-round pick and turning that first-round pick into Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in football. So right now he's doing mock draft shows on CBS. So these guys are both, draft. They know a lot about draft picks. So that's something to file away for later. We'll see how that factors into their decision making. But these two guys, they know football, and it's very interesting to see that Woody Johnson decides to bring them on because at this point he has to be getting a little bit scared, and he has to realize that he is not the number one football mind in the world that he maybe likes to believe that he is. He has said so far over this weekend that he's not interested in bringing in a football guy as the president of the New York Jets, but he probably should because he clearly isn't a football guy himself. He's not good enough to be making the decisions that he makes, which is really annoying because it runs the team directly down the drain. But this is kind of scary because it feels like the same type of Jets move where they bring back the guy they used to have, the guy that used to be pretty good, Mike Tannenbaum. He's going to be making some decisions. It's very interesting because we're talking about bringing back Rex Ryan, the old head coach from the last playoff run, and now the GM is having decisions in the New York Jets front office as well. I mean, the Jets, they got to find a way to move forwards, and I feel like they're always looking back to the past to try to get answers for the future, but at some point they just gotta take a risk, take a big swing, and go get a guy that might be unproven, but a guy whose upside could be a Super Bowl level type of head coach or a Super Bowl team creating type of GM instead of just looking at the past, because these guys have had success, but they're both fired for a reason. And the Vikings didn't win a Super Bowl. The Jets, of course, didn't win a Super Bowl, although the Jets were close when Tannenbaum was the GM, but the Vikings were not close when Spielman was the GM. Well, we're going to see. Their job is now to advise Woody Johnson as to how to hire the next GM and head coach, and we're going to see how that goes. Right now, there still has not been a ton of news about who the next GM of the Jets has been, but you guys definitely know as soon as there is news, we're going to have it right here on Jets Digest.
Yeah, so y'all better subscribe. And this sounds like it's the end of the video, which it's not. Look, I'm really interested in seeing how this goes, getting a data analysis firm to come in and make some decisions when we've seen things go well with this duo, just the Jettas move, the Jets being good at football move that they had going for a few years, 25 million years ago. Now, the Jets, like most teams this season, they're going to be looking for a new head coach. They're going to be looking for a new GM. They are easily the most disappointing team in the NFL this season, and you have to find a way to turn this around, and it feels sort of unorthodox what they're doing right now, and given a lot of the stuff that Woody Johnson does, I wouldn't even call it unorthodox, I'd just call it backwards. So getting this team, I'm really interested in putting like a data analysis team in here, doing a completely different move. And like Johnson said, he didn't want to bring a football guy in as GM. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I would like that.
Yeah, he definitely has to, because he has shown time and time again that he is not a smart enough football mind to make this team successful.
Yeah, so it becomes, okay, let's see what two guys who were general managers and who started a data analysis firm and know the draft well, let's see the role that they have with the team. I'm curious to see, like, obviously they're not going to be calling the shots. That's still going to be Woody, unfortunately, but it will be interesting to see, like, if there's a noticeable impact or not. Like, maybe there's a noticeable impact on the way, or on really just on the decisions they make, and you'll be able to tell which ones they were really making the calls on. And I'm really, really curious. Like, it does make you wonder what they're going to do in the draft. And right now, it could go so many directions with them needing a quarterback, and it's unclear if they're going to wait till next season when there's franchise-altering quarterbacks, or if they're going to panic and take one this year, depending on what pick they have. And they're going to have a top 10 pick, so we're going to see them draft a very, very good prospect. I just don't want it to be a quarterback. I don't want them to draft. There's so many good defenders. I don't want it to be a quarterback. Is really
the problem is with taking a quarterback is we're going to be picking probably outside of the top 5, but in the top 10. Yeah. So that's the range where you don't want to take a quarterback. If you have the second overall pick and they take they might absolutely take a quarterback with that. I just don't want to see them trade up for that second overall pick, because that would be very expensive. And like we said, the next draft pick, 2026, that class is a lot better for quarterbacks. So that's where we would prefer that the Jets would look for their next quarterback. However, what the Jets are going to do in the draft, we're waiting on two things. It's going to be one, of course, where we're picking. We're not going to know that until a couple more weeks, 2 more months, then we'll know where they're picking. So we can start making mock drafts based on that. So that'll be some more content. But the other thing we're going to need to know is who the GM actually is. We need to know what kind of background he comes from. Is he a scouting background guy? Is he a front office background guy? Like someone who looks at the salary cap, like that type of position in a front office. So we're going to be able to determine, is this guy going to lean more heavily into the draft to pick up Jets players, or is he going to look potentially towards free agency or even trade to find more players for the Jets? It's going to be exciting, whatever it is going to be. We, of course, have no idea, because very unlike the Jets, they've kept the potential candidates pretty close to the vest here with the GM. It's possible that they are not at all close to getting a GM, because they don't need one for a little while here, since they fired Joe Douglas in the middle of the season to give themselves more time to find that next GM, and to give Joe Douglas, there's no reason to hold him hostage. If your plan was going to be to release him at the end of the season, you just let him go. It's great to hear that he's having fun fishing for the first time in what seems like a while. We've noted that he's looked really sad over the last couple of weeks in interviews, so it's pretty great that he's getting back on the right side of things. And didn't work out for the Jets, but definitely wish nothing but the best for Joe Douglas going forwards. Back to the Jets, we got to see who the GM is. And I know I speak for a lot of fans right now when I say I'm sick of watching rebuilds. I'm sick of watching the Jets be terrible. They got to bring in a guy who's able to turn this thing around. Woody Johnson is, unfortunately, the GM comes in, he builds a boat, we're about to take it sailing, and Woody Johnson just comes with a screwdriver and drills a couple little holes in it, and eventually it just goes down. And it's really, really, really disappointing to see, but we're gonna Mike Tannenbaum, Rick Spielman, let's see what they got.
That's really what it is now. It's been so long that you just all of a sudden, like, your brain just goes to, let's see what happens this time around. Like, it's impossible to figure it out. I mean, I understand that a lot of Jets fans disagree with my stance. I think Joe Douglas is a phenomenal general manager. I know the Jets didn't make the playoffs, but every single move that Joe Douglas made outside of the Zach Wilson one, which we've talked about extensively not being his call, all of these moves have made sense and seemed like the right idea at the time. I mean, like, constantly, it felt like he was drafting well. He was making the right moves trade-wise. He got Aaron Rodgers, and it just, none of it worked out, even though, like, you could see he was making smart decisions. Speaking of boats and Woody Johnson, I am happy for Joe and that he's off fishing and living life. Like, we did talk about it. clearly he hated his job because he didn't even get to run it. The statement of Woody should just fire me now after last season when he had to fire his friend. I mean, you're not going to be happy in life if you hate your job. It's why I'm miserable, because I have to talk to you all day. Like, it's the worst. Lived with you for 3 years. You never stop. No, but in all seriousness, dude, it's really, we'll see what happens. Look, Tannenbaum, he got fired for a reason, as you mentioned earlier, but at the same time, he made some good moves. Got them. He was the GM when they got to the AFC title. Like, obviously they didn't win it, but they got there. And
Chris, how surprised would you be if they bring back Rex Ryan as the coach and Tannenbaum as the GM?
Yeah. I was definitely I don't think Tannenbaum's going to be the GM. I was about to say. And we have to talk about Rex Ryan for a moment. I mean, look, Rex Ryan outright said, I want the job. I have a great thing going at ESPN, but in a heartbeat, I would go back to coaching the Jets. Like, the man loves the team. I know there's better options out there, but they're not going to get Ben Johnson. They're probably not going to get Brian Dable, because why the hell would Dable want to stay around at MetLife after the first time around? We saw he's a phenomenal coach who just gets shot in the foot every 3 seconds. Sounds like another team in MetLife.
I don't think it's not 100% set in stone that Dable is going to get fired.
That's fair, but if he does, he's not going to end up on the Jets.
Definitely not.
I'd love him to.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I'd rather Rex Ryan than some of the other names out there. Like, I'd rather Rex Ryan than a Mike Vrabel or something.
Rex Ryan wants his job more than probably everyone else does combined.
Yeah.
He is so proud to be a Jet. He would bring the energy. He would bring his own culture. He would bring the locker room together. People would be excited to play for him. It would be, if he was given this roster, they would definitely have a lot more wins than this. We're going to see what kind of roster he does get. There's reports that Aaron Rodgers wants to keep playing, but not for the Jets. I don't know what team would pick him up after this season. Like, they would be pretty stupid to pick him up after this year. Looks really bad. We're going to see where Devontae Adams goes. He's going to get cut after this year. He says he doesn't regret the trade to the New York Jets, but it's tough to he has to. He has to, deep down just a little bit. He absolutely has to. This trade has gone completely the wrong way, completely off the rails. This is one of the final seasons of his career, and it's going really poorly for him. Yeah, you have to imagine he's at least thinking, what if I force my way to somewhere else? But the other team he wanted to go to was the Saints, who are just as bad as the Jets. The thing is, he doesn't want to go to good teams. He wants to go to quarterbacks that he knows, which is kind of weird. But hey, it's his career. It's not my career. It's not NBA 2K. So gotta let him do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to play with the quarterbacks that he's comfortable with, Derek Carr from Fresno State, Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers, then that's up to him. He can do whatever he wants there. All I know is Rex Ryan wants to be the coach of the Jets. No one else has been vocal about wanting to be the coach of the Jets because they're a dumpster fire. So I can't imagine why anyone would ever want to be the coach of the Jets, other than, of course, that paycheck. But I think there is definitely the chances of Rex Ryan being the head coach are rising because of how badly he wants it. The fact that the Jets need a culture builder, and the fact that other coaches are going to be scared by the New York Jets. And it would be just right up the Jets' alley to make a move like that, where they bring in the old head coach and they say, let's see what you got. And it actually doesn't usually work out poorly for the Jets. It never works out well at all. It's probably going to crash and burn, but it'll be fun while it does.
Look, it'll solve some problems, whereas there will be other coaching decisions that they could possibly make that might not solve any problem. We know for a fact that Rex Ryan would not be a terrible head coach for the Jets because he's done it before. It's just about the schemes. It's if he can scheme right, if his defense, really if he can adjust. It's not if his defense can still work. It's been 15-ish years. Like, the NFL's evolved, but if he can adjust with the time, and the Jets defense can be good with all the defensive stars they have, it's hard to imagine it going terribly. Like, it's possible
that they bring him in as just a locker room guy to bring people in, hype people up, bring the team together, and then the offense is ran by the offensive coordinator, and the defense is just ran by Jeff Ulbrich, while Rex Ryan handles all the head coaching decisions. It's possible that works, so they could just run Robert Saleh's defense some more, and that could be potentially a successful team. The Baltimore Ravens are ran by a special teams head coach in John Harbaugh. So it's possible that he can run neither the offense or the defense, and the team can still be successful. So let's let Rex Ryan. He could be able to do it even if he's not running his own defense.
Absolutely. And guys, this has been a long video, so we're gonna tune out. But thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure to subscribe, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets. I almost said Knicks.